Nick Castellanos is committed to a bit unlike any athlete that I've seen across any sport. And that bit, of course, being that when a tragedy or world event strikes, that he is there to deliver with a home run. He showed this once again yesterday after the news that President Biden had stopped pursuing the re-election and pulled himself out of the presidential race. Cassie was there to deliver with another home run. And not only did this occur, but he waited till the top of the ninth inning with 2 outs and the Phillies already up 5-0 to finally punch one over the fence. But to give a full reflection of all of these world events, which of course we remember started back in the days of the long drive after the announcer issuing his apology there, he's found a way to continue to keep this going. To touch on some of the events here, we're talking about the death of Osama bin Laden, the Queen Elizabeth death, all these, the hot mic apology, which was the first one there, the update on Charlie Manuel following a stroke, I-95 collapse in Philadelphia, the Trump assassination attempt, and Biden ending the re-election. But it does not just end there. We're talking about he also knocking a home run during an apology for a homophobic slur, the career-threatening injury to Tatis, the 9/11 tribute video package in the air, a eulogy for a World War II veterans, 10 minutes after the Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, the Dwayne Haskins death. It feels like these are all made up, but the fact of the matter is it just seems to be a cause and effect in the universe that when bad things happen, that Nick Castellanos there is to punch one over the fence. Now, it's been an interesting time for Nick Castellanos during his time in Philadelphia. And to dive into a little bit, we knew there were high expectations when he did sign this contract, a 5-year deal worth $100 million, him pulling in $20 million per year. He really was looked at as one of these win now pieces that as the Phillies turned the corner and was looking to become true World Series contenders, that he was a guy to help put them over the edge. Now, no, he did not have a ton of playoff experience before that, and to dive into some of his stats that for what he had produced, not been in the postseason a ton, but he had proved himself as a really solid player in the MLB. And to dive into what he's been with the Phillies this season, it has been much better. And for Cassie specifically, we have 14 home runs here, 50 RBIs, a .295 on-base percentage, 27 walks, and 91 hits in his 381 at-bats. Struck out 93 times. He has a slugging percentage of 40.7%. And this is a strong improvement over what we've seen from Cassie. The unfortunate reality of who he is as a baseball player is one of the streakiest hitters that I've ever seen. That when you get him when he is on a tear, he's a dangerous hitter at the plate. But there's also the times where he just can't touch anything at the plate. And what particularly has been frustrating to me at moments is just the overall approach. I do think he's been much better this year about chasing outside the zone, his willingness to take a pitch here and there, which was more or less non-existent for most of his Phillies career at this point. But that is going to be something that is very dependent on what mood you catch Cassie in as this Phillies team heads into the playoffs for how impactful that he can be to this team. Now, one of my main critiques with Castellanos overall honestly falls on Rob Thomson. That my frustration dating back to the playoffs, which of course we hit on a cold streak just last year and even the year before, that it was not Castellanos himself at the plate, which of course was frustrating, but it was more the continued loyalty from Rob Thomson and the inability to take him out of that spot here. Now, I think this is clear for one guy specifically, that of course being Bryce Harper. And to touch on, we know who Bryce is as a baseball player. And this season, on an absolute tear, 22 home runs and 23 as I'm recording at near the end of the Phillies' current game as they are playing, but 63 RBIs, 53 walks, 94 hits, and 316 at-bats, a .573 slugging percentage, which is absurd stuff there. Just 5 stolen bases and 76 strikeouts there. And beyond just Bryce Harper, which of course I'm speaking out the biggest threat in my frustration with Castellanos, is that the pitcher's desire to get to him in the lineup force teams to pitch around Bryce, and that's just unacceptable for a guy that is in a near perennial MVP candidate, a guy who's the certified best player on this team, and who this era of Phillies baseball was built around. But with this current Phillies team, we're seeing other guys who can step into that role. And to dive into a couple of those guys who have really stepped up this season, I want to start by mentioning Trey Turner here. And to take a look at another guy who deserves to be in the MVP conversation here, we're talking about Trey Turner with 12 home runs, 35 RBIs, hitting .385 in the on-base percentage, 14 walks and 85 hits in 251 at-bats, 12 stolen bases and 52 strikeouts, a .538 slugging percentage there. And another guy who's been especially impressive and I think even more surprising than most it's been Alec Boehm. And to touch on his stats specifically here, let's jump into this. We're talking about 11 home runs, a league-leading 71 RBIs for Alec Boehm there, .351 on-base percentage, 30 walks, 111 hits, and 375 at-bats, just 59 strikeouts, a .477 slugging percentage there. Ridiculous stuff for Boehmer, and truly the leap that he has taken was something that I did not expect this year. This is something that I think borderline changes the ceiling of this Phillies team, as I kind of accepted him for who he is, that this is a guy that's going to be a solid contact hitter. There is no real power, and while the home runs still have a ways to go, once again, to acknowledge what he's producing in that area, just 11 on the year, but those 71 RBIs are nothing to slouch at. This is a guy who is getting the job done. When there are runners on base, he's finding a way to knock them in. He has come through for timely hits time and time again for this Phillies team. Now, to touch a little bit on Castellanos, you can see that he has not been what he once was for most of his career, that the average is still down in this Phillies season and really throughout his tenure, but he is a guy that is still working in the right direction. I think this version of him this season has been very clearly the best version of Castellanos we've seen. And once again, when you get him on a hot streak, which we've had a couple stretches of this season, he is a dangerous player. And Castellanos is a guy who I think has done a nice job endearing himself to Philadelphia here. To speak specific on one of the quotes that I think jumped out right from the beginning when he got here is the "I don't have a college degree, I hit baseballs." That was something that I think really stood out to me, and he does have this infectious swagger that is impossible not to rub off on the teammates there. We all remember the ring finger celebration immediately in the playoffs there, sending a message that that is what he desires. I know we all freaked out, thought it was the middle finger when it initially happened there, but very cool for him to pull that out. And even just beyond that, the way that he rocks the chains, the way that he carries himself, the way he plays with a little bit of swagger is all stuff that I really like. And even the shortcomings of Nick Castellanos, they've never been something that feel intentional or him not giving them all. The dude does care. The dude does try. It's just that he is a streaky player, and that is the reality of it. So for Nick Castellanos, while he may never be a guy that fully lives up to what that massive contract will command to be the case there, and once again we are mentioning that $100 million contract there, the guy that of course making $20 million per year, which is a lot, particularly on this team which has plenty of payroll when you think about the commitments to Bryce Harper, to Trey Turner, that it would be nice to have a little more reliability with Nick Castellanos. But the reality is he's going to continue to be a guy who leaves it all out on the field. And to be honest, one of the biggest concerns in his game has been the fielding, and he's been way above my expectation. I think the expectation of most in that category. Let's not forget those sliding catches that he was able to produce in the postseason that would have changed the entire outlook of games. We're talking about real deal game saving catches and sliding catches at that. I would prefer a little more fundamental with it, maybe not the slide next to him the way he tends to do, but you know what? The results are the results. So as frustrating as Castellanos has been, I will continue to ride with him being a key part of this Phillies team. And if it has to be the case, hopefully some world events continue to come down when it does come to the postseason. Because for whatever reason, that is the cause and effect in him hitting these crucial moments. So we will see how things shake out for him here for Nick Castellanos. I know it has not been the cleanest route during his timeline in Philadelphia, a little more just turbulent than most would expect to be the case. But I don't think he should be held to this standard of this completely blown contract or a guy that is never living up to these expectations. He's still a guy that's out there giving it his best and still far better than a lot of baseball players in the MLB. So to Cassie, hopefully we catch you on a hot streak come playoff time, but you're definitely going to be a key part of this team moving forward. We will see how things shake out from here, but I'm going to be with you from start to finish right here on Phillies Digest. Me and my guy Luke Arcani will be breaking things down on the channel. We got a bunch of new tech that we are breaking in, so keep it posted with me. Let me know what you think about it in this video. Had to work through, sorry about the translation and making sure I'm moving at the right pace here. Going to be breaking myself in as well, but very excited about the things that we're going to be bringing to this channel and potentially bring it up. So make sure you're smashing that subscribe button to stay locked in with us from start to finish. There's a lot of baseball left to play this season, and we're going to be all over. So make sure you're smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like. I'll be talking to you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.